What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the FF Ballbusters podcast. Thank you for joining us. My name is Eric. That's my co-host Will, and today we are finally rounding out our 2024 position group rankings with the tight ends. Not gonna lie, maybe slightly less exciting than some of the other position groups that we've gone through to this point, but it's very top-heavy. The guy at the top of the list is very exciting, and we are going to be talking about him in depth today. But before we do that, Will, do you have anything to say to the people?
Absolutely, guys, we did it. We hit 500 subscribers. We hit that goal. We actually blew it out of the water, and we'd love to continue to do so. We appreciate all the support, all the follows, all the likes, all of that, and we'd appreciate if you guys keep on doing that. So if you're watching this video right now, you're not subbed, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. It's the best way to know when we drop all of our latest fantasy football content. And with that being said, we can go ahead and get into the video.
Yeah, but for real, like from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. The support in the comments, the likes, the subs, all of it has been amazing. We can't thank you enough. But yeah, let's get into the content that you guys came here for. We're talking tight ends, and at the top of the list, it's Brock Bowers.
Yeah, it's like every other tight end's down here. Brock Bowers is all the way up here. It's like a 2-tier drop from everybody else, but Brock Bowers...
They're not on the same graph.
No, they're not on the same graph. But just taking a look at the prospect himself, Brock Bowers, 6'4", about 240, so he's a great size at tight end. Some would say a little undersized. I wouldn't personally. In terms of what he can do as a tight end, he's a great blocker. He's actually underrated as a blocker. I feel like, a lot of people gave that to Darnell Washington as the blocking tight end out of Georgia. I feel like Brock Bowers, maybe even a half step, if not as good of a blocker as Darnell Washington. He's got a great catch radius. He's got great volume within that offense, so we've seen what he can do at a super high level. He's pretty much got everything that you would want in the tight end. The only issue with Brock Bowers right now is that he is currently injured. He was suffered an ankle injury, which I believe he's getting surgery on, or he had surgery on in the past couple of weeks. But we don't know when he's going to return back to college football. It doesn't really matter too much because him as a prospect doesn't really change because of this ankle injury to me. The team's probably going to give him some time to recover. How do you feel about that situation right there? Because we talk about Brock Bowers. We know who he is as a prospect, and we can talk about that more. But in terms of this injury, do you think this affects anything at all?
I mean, barely.
Yeah.
Barely. So I believe he did have surgery. It was tightrope surgery for a high ankle sprain, which we've seen a little bit more as of late. It comes from a fairly severe high ankle sprain where you have instability in the ankle. And so that's where this tightrope surgery comes in. I'm not even going to try to explain what all that entails. I'm not a doctor, but from following some of these Twitter doctors and stuff like that, specifically Dr. Jeff Mueller on Twitter, noticed a pattern of players who have gotten this tightrope surgery and then suffered a strained hamstring in the following year or in year 2 of recovery from it. That list includes guys like Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, Zach Moss, Ben Skoranek, Tua, Chase Claypool, and DJ Chark. There's a long list of players that have gotten this surgery that probably haven't had the subsequent hamstring injury, but just something to put on your radar, something to at least acknowledge for his potential return if he does come back this season or for his rookie NFL season next year. But I think he also mentioned, the same doctor, that the long-term outcome for like recovery timetables from this surgery are good. And so I don't have any worries about, this being like a lingering thing throughout his career.
Okay. No, I love that. Just Brock Bowers is a prospect in himself. We've seen him perform at these super high levels, and I don't think that's going to change. I've seen some mock drafts as of lately say that because of this injury, people have started moving him to the back of the first round. How do you feel about that? Because I feel like, one, that's going to change by the time actual drafts start happening. So, guys, if you're making those mock drafts, stop it. Stop it. He's not at the back end of the first round.
No, so strictly in terms of prospect evaluation, so like only what guys did in college, I think he's legitimately like a top 4 tight end prospect of all time.
Yeah.
Like we're talking Vernon Davis, Rob Gronkowski, Kyle Pitts, and Brock Bowers. Like he's that good. He belongs in that conversation. We saw what he did as an 18-year-old true freshman at Georgia, putting up 56 catches for 882 yards and 14 total touchdowns. Follows it up sophomore year with 63 for 942 and 10 total TDs. This year, prior to getting injured, or actually including the game that he got injured in he was still on pace for 82 for 1,134 and 10 total touchdowns. These are like historic numbers for college tight ends. In terms of like style, he's honestly not too dissimilar from what we saw from Sam Laporta as a prospect and what we've seen from him in the NFL. Just better in basically every category. Super athletic. He ran a 4.48 40 and jumped 40 inches in high school. Really good route runner, incredible ball skills and body control. And he turns into a freaking running back like once he gets the ball in his hands. It's really, really impressive. We've seen Sam Laporta enter the Dynasty tight end 1 overall conversation. So if we're talking about Bowers in the same light, he could enter that conversation quickly. And for that reason, to mention specifically, you talked about like where he should go in rookie drafts. At least in Superflex tight end premium leagues, I think he belongs as early as the 104 and probably no later than the 106.
I 100% agree. He's a top 6 pick through and through. And like you said, one of those generational guys at the tight end position. So again, hoping he recovers great from his injury and he just has a great career because he's really due for one, especially like you said, in terms of production in college. We haven't seen too many people like him. So love Brock Bowers at that number 1 spot for sure.
Absolutely. All right. So, obviously that's going to take up most of the discussion. He's the headliner, the high-end talent of the group. There are some interesting names to talk about, but nobody near his level, like we said. Who's going to be your number 2 in this class?
So my number 2 in this class, and guys, this list is probably going to be one of the most fluid lists we put together out of these position groups because, I don't know, looking at stat lines for these guys gets a little rough from time to time. But taking a look at the tight end position, I have Jahiem Bell out of Florida State at my number 2. He just slightly edged out Davian for me. I just like the profile. I like his play at South Carolina was pretty interesting to me. They used him as a tight end, but they also kind of used him as a rusher as well. He had like 73 carries and almost 300 yards on the ground, which shows a little bit of versatility there as well. Shows he could be used as a fullback if needed be. He's under 240, so he's a little undersized as a tight end, but he's very athletic and very versatile. I would kind of compare him to, like, in terms of play style, to sort of like a Chigokonkwo. I feel like he's very similar to him in play style. He lacks some nuance in his route running, but he's found a lot of success as like a gadget player tight end. And like I said before, there's a drop-off between him and Brock Bowers. I don't want you to think that he is in the same stratosphere as Brock Bowers, but in terms of a tight end who can produce, I feel like he is somebody who could make a difference at the NFL level.
Yeah, I like Jahiem Bell, and to really hammer home that, kind of teardrop you talked about, like Brock Bowers belongs in the early to mid first round of rookie drafts. I don't know that I'm touching any of these other guys until like the third.
Yeah.
It's that type of drop off that we're talking about. It's definitely not anywhere close to the tight end class that we had last year, which was one of the better classes in recent memory. So yeah, just to kind of hammer that home, I have Jahiem Bell at my 3 spot, but I do like him a lot. I really liked what I saw from him after his sophomore year at South Carolina. Super athletic, and like you said, somewhat positionless. Decent size, 6'3", around 240. Although, at least from the eye test, like I feel like he looks bigger and heavier than Bowers. So we'll have to see what he actually weighs in at come combine time. But really impressive yak ability. And like you mentioned, he was worked into the run game a bit in his sophomore year, which I thought was a nice wrinkle and an effective use of his unique abilities. But then South Carolina kind of went overboard with it in his junior year and gave him 73 rush attempts and only 25 receptions. And like as good in space and with the ball in his hands as he is, he's definitely not a running back. And so I think that's kind of what led him to transfer to FSU, is he wasn't happy with the usage and kind of the position change. But he's currently pacing for his best receiving season of his career, on pace for 42, 556, and 3, while playing alongside NFL caliber receiving talents like Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson.
Okay. No, I love that. I just, like you said, it's a drop off between him and Brock Bowers. But
yeah,
in terms of him as a talent himself, I do think he does have the ability to, help out an NFL team at the next level too.
Oh yeah, no, he's interesting for sure.
Absolutely.
And then, so for me at my number 2, I did have Ja'Tavion Sanders. He's kind of closer to that prototypical size than either of the first 2 guys that we talked about at 6'4", 250. Definitely has above average athleticism, just not to the same level as like a Bowers. But he ran a 4.56 40 in high school, which gives him a 90th percentile speed score based on his weight. I think he's a fairly fluid route runner, has really good hands. But from a production standpoint, he's really only shown flashes to this point. He didn't record a single catch as a freshman. As a sophomore, had a really good year, 54 for 613 and 5. That was pretty impressive. But this year, he just hasn't been on the same pace. Through 8 games, he's only at 20 for 357 and 1. He has stepped up in big games against Alabama and Baylor, going 5 for 114 and 5 for 110 respectively. But outside of those games, I feel like he's been largely ineffective and kind of uninvolved. And again, similar to Jahiem Bell, it's probably worth noting that he's playing alongside NFL-level receiving talent in Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell. But you'd like to see him pace for his best season in his junior year, and he's just not doing that right now.
Nah, I 100% agree. It's been a bit of a slight drop-off, and the production has not been consistent. But just him as a prospect, I guess, he started out as a wide receiver in high school, and he moved to tight end when he got to college. And, it's apparent because, like you said, he has great ball skills. He's great tracking the ball, great at high pointing it. He's great with contested catches. He doesn't get amazing separation, but he is able to, beat smaller defenders. Like, he's great at beating DBs. He's awesome at it. And he's a decent blocker, but he's not an elite blocker. So there are some concerns about him playing inline as well. But I do like the prospect. Like you said, him, if you look at him and he passes the eye test, anytime you see him and you see the ball come towards him, he's a threat. Whether that's vertically down the field or that's short and he's making stuff happen after the catch, he is a threat out there on the field. It's just you'd like to see more consistency out of him. That's something you really like to see out of him more. But that's kind of an issue with all of these guys after Brock Bowers. It's something we're going to consistently say throughout this, I feel like.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. For me, it's kind of like another teardrop off after these two guys. Do you feel the same way, or are they all still lumped together?
No, it's absolutely another drop off after this, because especially now we're getting into some pretty undersized guys or some oversized guys as well. So it's definitely kind of a drop off.
Yeah, we're running the gamut. But so I'll go back to you. Who's going to be your number 4 tight end in this class?
I went back and forth with the guy I have at 5 and this guy for number 5 and 4, but I have Brandt Kuithe, I believe, out of Utah. So he's somebody who was getting playing time alongside, Dalton Kincaid, first round pick. He's extremely undersized as a wide receiver, or as a tight end. He's like 6'2". 230, I believe? Let me pull this up. I got this right here in front of me. I'm being stupid.
Can I be totally honest with you right now?
What's up?
Don't know who that is. Can you spell his name for me so I can look at his stats?
That is Brandt, Brant.
Okay.
Kuithe.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got
it. So far in the season, 19 receptions for 206 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't really have a ton to say about the guy. He's someone who was getting playing time, like I said, alongside Dalton Kincaid. But in terms of his overall production, he's really like a big slot receiver. And like sort of in a weird way, he is one of the better blockers out of this group as well, somehow. Like he's better than the guy that I'm probably going to name next. He gets open pretty reliably. That's something you look for at the NFL level. And like I said, he's just a big slot receiver. So there's definitely some teams out there who are in the market for somebody like that. Maybe, I don't know if he's even going to play tight end at the next level because of ththese size issues, because he's only 6'2", 230. But I don't know. Who do you have at the number 4 spot?
Well, hold on. What am I looking at in this stat sheet, bro? He's been playing since 2018.
Listen. He's been there for a while. COVID did some things.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not saying that he's bad, but this is his 6th year as a collegiate prospect. Which is also weird because he produced immediately as a freshman, which you rarely see. And when you do see it, typically these guys declare. But he's now in his 6th year and hasn't played in his 6th year?
Yeah,
what's happening?
I don't know exactly what's happening with the situation. I know he got that extra year because of COVID and all that, and I don't know. Yeah. Dalton Kincaid was there as well, but obviously you can see when Dalton Kincaid was there, he was still, producing pretty well. So,
bro, I'm shocked he hasn't declared, because he had like good production his freshman year, really good production his sophomore year. Mm-hmm. Big dip in his junior year, and then he's listed as a junior again in 2021. So I don't know if he played, so he couldn't have redshirted. Well, had another great year in 2021.
Year. That was a COVID year, so they gave everybody extra eligibility.
I got you. You're right. Yeah, and then has kind of dropped off the past two. That's strange.
Yeah.
Very interesting profile, I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and it intrigued me a little bit because, like you said, he does show the ability to produce. At the end of the day, though, he is 24. He's going to be a 24-year-old prospect, so that's going to knock him a little bit. But I don't know. I feel like a team could end up taking a shot. Velus Jones has a job in the NFL right now, so I feel like this guy could definitely get an opportunity.
Maybe the Bears will run it back.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
But we'll see. I like that. My number 4 is going to be Bryson Nesbit out of USC. Let me pull his stats back up because I had those in front of me originally. Bryson Nesbit. Big, tall, athletic guy at 6'6", 245. Showed immediate production as a freshman, albeit limited production, going 7 for 154 and 1. But like we just talked about, it is important to see any kind of stats accumulated early on, especially in guys' freshman seasons. Went on into his sophomore year, going 35 for 507 and 4. And again, we're talking about a guy that's produced among NFL receiving talent. He's been there with Josh Downs. He's there currently with Tez Walker and Antoine Wells. So it's good to see that. And he's once again on pace to have the best season of his career, currently with 23 receptions, 362 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He's just a smooth mover. I liked what I've seen. I've liked what I've seen on tape from him. He seems naturally athletic, good ball skills. Not a ton of production, but again, when he's playing alongside these other guys at the wide receiver position at UNC, I don't expect a ton from him. But yeah, I like his upside with the size and the mobility. He just has to put it together consistently. But that's why he's down here at 4 for me.
Okay. He's somebody I got to do a lot more looking into as well. This tight end group is very varied, I feel like.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I fully expected our list to be wonky because nobody knows what's going on once you get past like the top 3 guys.
Yeah, it turns into a shit show really quick. At my number 5 spot here, I've got a guy, kind of a memey pick, but I like the profile. I feel like this guy's like the anti-Darnell Washington. This guy's name, he's Brevyn Spann-Ford out of Minnesota. So in terms of his production on this season so far, it's not amazing. 15 catches, 109, no touchdowns. It's not what you really want to see. Last year, though, 42 catches for 497 and 2 touchdowns. So he has produced. He's one of those guys with, another pretty big profile. I believe he's in his 5th year right now. But he is 6'7", 270.
Big boy.
Yeah. I'm calling him the anti-Darnell Washington, though, because he's 270 and he's a great route runner, but he's not a good blocker by really any stretch of it. He's not really like somebody who's going to uproot a defender. He's not somebody who's going to really seal the edge against someone with elite, hand skills on the edge. But the fact that he's 6'7", 270, he's going to be able to block. You know what I mean? Just in terms of just getting in front of people and slowing them down. He's going to be able to do it. But just being able to block at the next level, I don't know how much success he's really going to find with that. But he has a significant ceiling as both like a receiver, and I feel like he does have a good ceiling as a blocker. They just really got to get him together and try to figure something out because he does have the frame for it. But his sort of like length and stature, he could be a great middle of the field target, a good contested catch player. And, just as a blocker, the wingspan and raw size just kind of makes him a guy at the end of the day. And it's going to take him some time to transition to the program, I feel like, but that's going to be most tight ends. It's going to take them some time to transition. But at 6'7", 270, I'm willing to take a chance on a guy who has shown he's able to produce with, 42 catches, 497, and 2 touchdowns. We just hope to see him do more of that this year, second half of this season.
Yeah, no, I like that. The size definitely intrigued me. He was a guy that I saw and had kind of in the conversation for my list as well. And you mentioned the blocking ability. In terms of like a fantasy producer, you really just want somebody that's not a liability as a blocker, that, is good enough to get on the field, but you don't want him blocking very often. You want him running routes. So even if he's not a great blocker, that's not necessarily that big of a downside for him. Here at my number 5 spot, a guy that I thought you might gravitate towards, Luke Lachey out of Iowa. You see, we love an Iowa tight end.
We love an Iowa tight end. We'll talk about it. I'll let you go with the profile. Give the people what they came here for.
Yeah, man. Like I put in here in my note, insert Iowa tight end here, but but for real, like he's actually looked quite good on film. Big dude, 6'6", 250, definitely a fluid mover for his size. I think he's shown good contested catch ability and pretty good after the catch as well. Not too much to look at statistically, unfortunately. He was redshirted his true freshman season and then wasn't very involved in the offense considering he was playing behind Sam Laporta for the last 2 years. And then this year, unfortunately, he's been ruled out for the season due to an ankle injury after only playing 3 games. So there's not too much in terms of box score watching that you can get from him. But in the limited sample size that we've seen, I think he passes the eye test in my opinion. And, you know, like I said, with the pedigree that we've seen from Iowa tight ends, it's hard not to trust that he's probably going to be a decent translation to the NFL level.
No, I absolutely agree. He's someone I was, hesitant. I was going to put him on my list too and go with the whole Iowa tight end thing as well because I do like the profile. Like you said, he only played in like 2 games, but he was highly productive in those 2 games. 10 catches, 131 yards in 2 games. That's impressive, like you said. Only knock I've got against Luke is that he's not a great blocker, and I feel like the Iowa tight ends who have really come to the league and succeeded, they've been the guys who are great at blocking. The guys who are good at receiving, they've been good, but it takes them a little time. Like Noah Fant, took him a little bit before he really caught on. He was more the receiving tight end out of the 2 between him and T.J. Hawkinson, who we know who T.J. Hawkinson is at this point. Right. But I do love his profile. I hope that he gets healthy and we can see more of him during the draft process. Maybe see what he can do in the combine because he's definitely got a lot of ground he can make up there. And yeah, I like Luke Lackey a lot. He's one of my honorable mentions, so he definitely is someone I was going to mention today at the very least because we love an Iowa tight end. Can never leave those guys behind. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that will round out our top 5. You mentioned or alluded to some honorable mentions. There's some other names that you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Yeah, so I got some other names. Like I said, this tight end group is weird, so stay with me here. I've got a Rondé Gadsden out of Syracuse.
Dude, I forgot to put him on here. Is he technically listed as a tight end yet?
He is listed as a tight end on ESPN now, yeah.
Okay, so he did make the conversion from wide receiver.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for bringing him up. He should have been on my list as well. I just hadn't made the transition in my brain from wide receiver to tight end for him.
No, that's all good. But like you said, he transitioned from wide receiver to tight end. So the production as a wide receiver, 61 catches, 969 yards, and 6 touchdowns as a receiver. Now moving to tight end. Obviously, less volume is going to come along with that, and he's kind of gotten that. But at the same time, the prospect, the profile itself, 6'5", 223. He's on the lighter side. The weirdest thing about this guy is he's a smaller tight end in terms of like frame, I guess, but he's slow. He's like really slow.
Really?
Yeah. You ever watched him?
No.
I was watching some tape. He looks really slow on film. I don't know.
I've only seen like a game.
Okay.
And that was a while ago. So I'm not up to date with him right now.
Okay. That's something we can revisit. But in terms of his production as a receiver, we saw him perform, and obviously even if he's slow and he's still getting that level of production, he's got great skills elsewhere. You know what I mean? Great ball skills, all of that. So he's somebody on my radar. I've also got Jalen Conyers out of Arizona State. I didn't do a whole lot of research into him. I like the frame, stuff like that. But in terms of him as a prospect, I don't have a ton. I didn't want to do too much research into these guys and put too much of a list because it's kind of a shit show right now.
Like these guys are, we're talking undrafted in rookie drafts. Like these are guys that, we're just trying to put on your radar, and we'll get deeper into them as we get closer to combine and draft season.
Yeah, Jalen Conyers, 6'4", 270, so I love the frame. Want to see him put it together a little bit more. He's got good production, but it could be a little bit better. But like I said, it's an honorable mention. But who do you have as your honorable mentions here?
Yeah, I got a few. Cade Stover out of Ohio State is a guy that I feel like has produced pretty well. He's another converted from a different position, but not from what you would expect. He's actually originally a linebacker, and I think still plays a little bit of linebacker for Ohio State. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's looked good in his limited sample size at tight end. Eric All, also out of Iowa. He's been there for longer. I think he's either a 5th year senior. He's had some injury troubles, hasn't been able to stay on the field, but he's also looked decent in his limited time there at Iowa. And then lastly, Benjamin Urasek out of Stanford. He's another kind of older prospect, but he's looked really smooth to me. He looks like he has like wide receiver abilities in a tight end body. Somehow just still hasn't really put it all together on the stat sheet. Not the most inspiring of production from him, but I've liked what I've seen from him on tape so far.
Yeah, he's somebody I forgot to mention as well. I do like his profile a lot too. So he's somebody to look into. But like we said, guys, this list is probably one of the most fluid ones out of everything because we still got a good amount of season left to go. And these guys have a lot of room that they could either catch or lose a lot of ground. So we'll see how the season ends out. But so far, this is how we're looking at this tight end class right now. So if you guys made it this far into the video, thank you guys for watching, and make sure you do all that great YouTube stuff like we said at the top of the video. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that way you know when we drop all of our latest videos. Hit that like button. It's absolutely free, and it's the best way to get our stuff out there into the YouTube algorithm. And hit up the comments down below. Like, seriously, hit up the comments because like we said, this tight end class was kind of tough to put together. If you say you know a little bit more about this class, maybe there's someone we missed out on who's just been a diamond in the rough that's just a gem out there that we're missing out on, let us know down in the comments below. Or if we're too high on any of these guys, if you're a fan of any of these teams and you've been watching these guys play week in and week out, let us know what you think about them because you're the ones watching every week and you've got the best outlook on it. So, you have anything else for the people before we get out of here, Eric?
Yeah, another topic, if you guys would be so kind to comment about. We have plenty of ideas for upcoming content. We obviously got through the end of our position group for 2024, and we have some other things coming down the road. But let us know what kind of content you guys are looking for, whether it be Dynasty related, redraft related, whatever it may be. Let us know what you're looking for down in the comments below, and hopefully we can help you get that. And then also, if you guys could check the description below, we have a link to our Discord. We just had a couple new members join, and so that's pretty exciting to see that community growing. We're talking in there each and every single day. A bunch of people in there that are really smart in the Dynasty community and can help you out, not just us. But click the link in that description, join up at the Discord. That would be fantastic. And then lastly, our sponsors. We got Dynasty Owner. We have a promo code for that. And then also Do Numbers if you're looking for some cool apparel. I'm wearing a hoodie right now. They got hoodies, t-shirts, hats. I think we're coming with joggers, all sorts of good stuff. So if you're interested in that, use our promo code DoNumbers15 for 15% off at checkout. But yeah, I think that's all I got. If you've stuck with us all the way until the end, as always, we love you, and we will catch you in the next video. Peace.
Peace.